Let's start with the prayers. Om Bhatram Karnebhi Shruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagam Sastanobihi Vyasema Devahitam Vyadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vrittashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All human beings consist of two parts. One is called as Atma, another is called as Anatma. Anatma, we all know, which is the ego I, Ahamkara I. We live our whole life identified with this ahamkara, which means the I, the ego I, which is there in the waking state, sleep state, dream state. What we do not know is there is a higher level for us, which is not identified with the ahamkara. It is the pure aham, which is called as Atma. The non-discrimination of Atma and Anatma is called as Granthi, is called as a knot. I do not know my higher nature, therefore I take this body and mind as the reality. This non-discrimination of the real nature is called as Granthi in Sanskrit. Granthi means it's a knot. And it comes because of Aviveka. Aviveka means non-discrimination because I don't know. I don't know that there is a higher nature of mind. To remove this problem, to snap this knot, to snap this ajnanam, ignorance, is the study of Upanishads. What does the Upanishad say? Upanishads say that I have a very, very free nature, not tied to this body. That nature of Atma is complete, Purnaha. It is Satyam. It is always there. And it is Jnana Sarupam. It is of the nature of consciousness. So, my nature is always eternal. I always exist. And I am always conscious. This is my real nature. But today I'm taking this body and all the actions done by the body as me. Therefore, the Upanishad says, rise above the body and mind level, rise above Maya level. Maya means this entire field of experiences of the world. That is called as Maya. Entire field, whatever we experience, the seen world. The seer is the pure I, the consciousness, the Satyam. So by knowing the Satyam, I can then say that this world which I am experiencing is of a lower empirical reality. rising to the transcendent level, that means I transcend the body and mind. I hold on to the pure Atma as my nature. This, in short, is the benefit of the study of all the 12 Upanishads. The gist of why we study the Upanishads, what are the benefit of the Upanishads, how can I come out of this non-discrimination. Kaivalya Upanishad consists of 24 mantras, and the student here is Ashvalayana, and the guru is none other than the creator himself, Brahmaji. In the 24 verses, up to the 11th verse, the Upanishad introduces the sadhanas, the disciplines, the means for gaining this knowledge. And the three main sadhanas revealed are Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasnam. Shravanam is indicated by the word Shraddha. Mananam is indicated by the word Bhakti in this Upanishad, and Nididhyasnam is indicated as Dhyanam. And how do I meditate on this nature of mind? It was very beautifully explained in the 10th verse, which said that the entire universe consisting of objects and beings, you take it as existing in the Atma, I. Entire universe, not this body and mind. Normally, we think Atma is inside this body and mind. What the Upanishad now tells us is do the reverse. In Atma, the entire universe exists. This is how chapter 10 and 11 of Bhagavad Gita also is written. Arjuna was taught to see the entire world in one single reality, which is Lord Krishna. All the glories, all the vibhutis, and the entire Jagat was seen by Arjuna in one entity. That is the same which we have to practice in our meditation. When I close my eyes, the Upanishad tells me, first you do pranams to your guru, and then that will quieten your mind, and immediately take up the task of deliberately thinking of the nature of Atma. Bring the thought that I am Sarvatma Bhava. This Bhava means attitude. My real nature is the higher Atma, which is the substratum for the entire universe. That is how meditation was taught in the 10th verse. From the 12th verse onwards, the gist of this whole Upanishad is being explained. 12, 13, and 14. We have finished verse number 12. What is the gist of this entire Upanishad of Kaivalya Upanishad? The gist is the same as Mandukya Upanishad. In Mandukya Upanishad, 215 verses are there. They are all called as mainly 12 shlokas, and the balance 203 are called as karakas. Karaka means commentary on the 12 mantras of the Upanishads. What is described in the Mandukya 215 verses is described in Kaivalya Upanishad in 4 verses. That you can imagine, so much is condensed in 3-4 verses. Last week, I gave you a gist of Mandukya Upanishad, and we saw a chart. Today, we are going to see verse number 14, but before that, let me go back to the chart which I presented so that you are more familiar. This is the Aikyam chart. Aikyam means there is oneness between the individual Jiva and the total Ishvara. That is the purpose of learning the Upanishad, studying the Upanishad. In all Upanishads, in all the 12 Upanishads, if you want to know what is the main topic in all the Upanishads, it is this chart. Jiva Ishvara Aikyam. And if you understand this chart, you are a realized master. You know your true nature. A gist of this is what is presented in the Kaivalya Upanishad from verse 12, 13, 14. What is the gist? What does this chart represent? It represents the individual, which is called as Vishwa, and the total, which is called as Virat. Now, Vishwa is the individual. For example, each one of you should say, I am the Vishwa. And what do I experience? I experience the Virat. What is the name of this Virat? Why do we call this Virat? Because it is one of the realms of our experience. This experience of Vishwa and Virat, the gross body and the gross prapancha, is called as the waking state. When I am identified with the gross body, here I must represent the consciousness principle, the existence principle, which is identified with the gross body, is called as Vishwa, and the same consciousness, when it is identified with the total universe, is called as Virat. What happens in the dream state? The same consciousness, which is the Jiva, identifies with the subtle body only. Subtle body means the mind. And it experiences a subtle world. Now, this is a second realm of our experience, different than the waking world. And each one of you must sink into these realms for some time in your own mind. And then you should find out how to unite each of these experiences to the reality. That is how Mandukya Upanishad explains. That is how Kaivalya Upanishad explains the higher nature of ours. So the subtle body and the subtle world is the dream state. In that state, the subtle individual is called as Taijasa, and the world is called as world of Hiranyagarbha. Then the third realm, which is the ignorant state, non-apprehension of reality. The dream and the waking are called as misapprehension of the reality. I don't understand the reality. I project a different identity as a waker, as a dreamer. In the case of sleep state, the individual is called as Prajna, and the totality is called as Maya or Antaryami or Ishvara. So in the third realm, there is total ignorance. It's a homogeneous mass of ignorance, tamas shakti. It is the same jiva which is experiencing who is the one who slept? I. Who is the one who dreamt? I. Who is the one who was awake, who is awake now? I. Now, which of these three states is mine? Is my real nature? If you ask, the Upanishad says none of these three states is your real nature. There is another, you call it state, you call it realm, you call it whatever name you can give it. You can call it Brahman, you can call it Bhuma, you can call you can call it any name. But there exists another state. And that is the true nature of mind. It is called as Satyam Jnanam Anantam in Taittiriya Upanishad. It is called as Bhuma Vidya in Chandogya Upanishad. It is called as Turiyam in Mandukya Upanishad. This Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad, is from the same Veda as the Mandukya Upanishad. Both of them are from Atharvana Veda. They follow the same style of revealing the truth. The three states are used to reveal the ultimate. In verse number 12, we have seen that in the waking state, this verse number 12 reveals the waking state. This is the gist, 12, 13, 14, and these are the three verses which explain to us the steps involved in realization of the truth. What the Upanishad says is, first study the waking state, then study the dream state, then study the sleep state. And then you realize that I am not any of these three states. I have a nature which is beyond the three states. And that is what is called as my real nature, which is called as pure Atma. In that there is no individual or the total. It is beyond the Vyashti, beyond the Samashti. It is beyond the Karanam and Karya. This is how the revelation of my real nature happens. So waking state is a state of delusion, number one, where the individual is deluded, all of us. Why do we say that? Because I don't always know in this state that I am not this body. That is the problem. This is what is called as adhyasa, superimposition of the real Atma with the unreal Anatma. So the waking state, it says, Sa eva maya parimohita atma. I'm deliberately repeating verse number 12 and 13 before going to the 14th verse, because this is the gist of the whole Upanishad. If you can pick up these 3-4 verses, you have understood Kaivalya Upanishad. The rest of the things will follow, because from 16 onwards to 22nd is only if you understand the 12, 13, 14, you will be able to say that this is the experience of that truth between 16 to 22. Those are all Mahavakya of realized master. After knowing the Turiya Atma and discriminating the Atma from the Anatma by the verses of 12, 13, and 14, then you can sing the song of realization, which is the verse number 16 to 22. So in the 12th verse, it's very clear that there is a power acting in this body. That power is called as Maya Shakti. It belongs to the reality. It belongs to the Turiya Atma. All of us, we are all having this power in us. Through that power only, we are able to experience everything. All the experiences we have in the waking state, dream state, sleep state is because of this Maya Shakti. Maya means the entire realm of experience. The gross body, the three sharirams, gross, subtle, and causal. The three reflections of consciousness in them. They are all time, space, all the objects in creation. All this is called by one word, Maya. And who is the illuminator of this Maya? It is that Atma. Maya is inert by nature. It cannot illuminate, it cannot know by itself. But the real illuminator is Atma. It is illuminating all the three states, waking, dream, and sleep. That is the light which is what I am after. I am searching for that light of knowledge. That is the whole process of spiritual study. All the 12 Upanishads will reveal the same Atma. Only the styles are different. In one, it will say it is self-effulgent light, and then it will focus on that topic. In another, it will say you are beyond the 5 koshas, Taittiriya Upanishad. Creation, the same Maya is divided into 5 dresses. Different Upanishads have different style. But here, you should understand that the one who is identified with the gross body experiences the perceptions, feelings, and thoughts. Perceptions is through the sense organs, feelings is through the mind, thought is through the intellect. So that consciousness, pure consciousness, which can exist independently, is experiencing the waking state and experiences all perceptions of the world of 5 sense objects, all the feelings which are generated by the relationships with the objects and beings. It is one consciousness, one principle, Atma. Never forget that. Because that is where I have to reach. And I have to own up that Atma as my real nature. So, in the waking state, the Jiva reaches full gratification. Gratification is what? He fulfills himself with the objects and beings in the world. That is our whole experience of the waking state. We earn money. Why do we earn money? Because I want to enjoy good food, good cities, good life, good comfortable life. That's all. And because of this, I feel that I will be happy. Of course, you will be happy with all the if you have all this, you will be happy. But it is transient. It is not permanent. Because it is all vritti jnanam. All this is coming into the form of vrittis in the mind. Therefore, it is temporary. It is not Swarupa Jnanam. Swarupa Jnanam means Atma Jnanam. I am the ever effulgent reality. That is what is called as the nature of happiness, which is bliss. So that this 12th verse explained, and we have finished this before, we have seen all this. Then the 13th verse, dream state. What is the dream state? It is the jiva, the individual ego. Swapne sa jivaha sukha dukkha bhokta, swamayaya kalpita jiva loke. In the dream state, the pleasure or pain in the dream world is created by this jiva itself, because it is the mind which is creating. And when it is creating, it is called as Maya Shakti. There is Maya Shakti in the sleep state, in the waking state, in the dream state. That Shakti belongs to Ishvara. I take that small Shakti and I create my own small world, dream world, each one of us. And when I create the dream world, it is called as misapprehension of the reality. Misapprehension means what? I project something because I have non-apprehension. I do not know my real nature as the pure Atma. That is what is called as the dream state. Then what happens in the state of sleep? In the state of sleep, I merge all the worlds into one inert, homogeneous mass. That is called as tamas. The world of waking is rajas. The world of dream is rajas. In the waking world, it is sattvic in nature because I can have full knowledge of the world. Now, so in the jiva is what happens in the sleep state. It is a completely ignorant state. It is not my real nature. So what is my experience? I am in total ignorance in the sleep state, partially passive, partially active mind in the dream state, fully active mind in the waking state. That is how we have reached so far. Today we will start the 14th verse, which is, let me just see how to get this chanted.
पुनश्च जन्मान्तर कर्मयोगात् पुनश्च जन्मान्तर कर्मयोगात् स एव जीवः स्वपिति प्रबुद्धः स एव जीवः स्वपिति प्रबुद्धः पुरत्रये क्रीडति यश्च जीवः पुरत्रये क्रीडति यश्च जीवः ततस्तु जातं सकलं विचित्रम् ततस्तु जातं सकलं विचित्रम् आधारमानन्दमखण्डबोधम् आधारमानन्दमखण्डबोधम् यस्मिन् लयं याति पुरत्रयं च यस्मिन् लयं याति पुरत्रयं च
Punasya Janmantara Karma Yoga. See, why do we all get up from sleep? Is it because I put an alarm? Yes, it is because I put an alarm, I wake up. That is a very common thing. Suppose you don't put an alarm. Will you sleep the whole day? No. Something will make you get up. And that is what is called as karma, karma phalam, sanchita karma, prarabdha karma. The whole waking state of all the human beings, each one gets up in their own respective time because we have certain actions to do, we have certain thoughts to think about, and we have certain merits which we have to fulfill in our life. The Veda says that our whole life is governed by punyam and papa, merit and demerit. From birth till death, the whole life is governed by the law of karma. I come into a body, enter into a body, do all the actions, reap the result of actions, whether it is joy or sorrow, and then drop this body and take another body. This is what is called as transmigration or samsara. Again and again, taking birth in different bodies. Punascha janmantara karma yoga. Every body is taken up because you want to fulfill a portion of your punyam and papam in the causal body. That is what is the causal body, karana shariram. So till this prarabdha karma, prarabdha means in this life, whatever you are supposed to enjoy or suffer, you will enjoy or suffer. And it is not, there is no method to determine how will it be tomorrow. For all of us, not only for you or me, for everyone living in this world, tomorrow is a big question mark. Why? Because it depends on the prarabdha karma. You can see for your own experience in the world. Suddenly things happen. It is not an accident. It is law of karma in action. So according to the Veda, this is one of the proof. Kaivalya Upanishad says very clearly, Punascha janmantara karma yoga sayeva jivaha swapiti prabuddhaha. The sleeper wakes up into the waking or the dream world. The jiva wakes up to the dream or the waking world. Mandukya Upanishad says that don't take the waking world as the basis. Take the sleep world as the basis, which is the karana shariram. From there, you have two channels. You can go to waking or you can go to dream. In this birth, after this body, once the karma phalam is enjoyed, then what happens? You take another body. Again, you get up and then you wake up to waking or dream. The joy and sorrow can only be fructified only in the waking state or the dream state. So this jiva, which is going around in circles, is going between sleep, dream, waking. Those are called as three cities. Now these three cities, what is the substratum for this? Who illumines the three cities? That is what is called as Atma or Brahman. So in this, the Paramatma's nature is described in the last third line. Adharamananda akhanda bodham yasmin layam yati puratrayam cha. So Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam is oneness is revealed in this verse. Let me go through the description. Who determines a waking? Whether you will get up in the same body or a new body, it is prarabdha karma. Janmantara karma yoga. Because of punyam and papa karma, because of merit and demerit actions which you have to fulfill in this birth, you take up a body. and you identify with the body. These are all automatic things, huh? Not that you morning you'll say it'll come and say, no, tomorrow morning I won't identify with this body. Let me see what happened. No, it will happen automatically. This is law of nature, law of karma. We are all products of the law of karma. It is the law of the world. It is governed by Ishvara. There is a governor for this. There is a controller. Waking, dream, and sleep is not not under my control. It's under the switch on-off switches with someone else. That is what is called as Ishvara. So what is the mechanism or logic, if you ask? The logic is exhaustion of punyam and papa. And only when you are identified with the body, you can exhaust your joy or sorrow. Both. When I identified with the body during the waking state, sometimes it is joy, sometimes it is sorrow. Should I get overwhelmed with joy or sorrow? No. Just know the reality is not this. This is only an appearance. We are going to study this in more detail in the following verses. Very deep verses are coming now. It's 15, 16, 17. All those are very deep verses. Here I am trying to clearly explain to you that identification is natural. Adhyasa, superimposition, is natural. It is due to the law of karma. It is a cosmic cycle. Cosmic law. It follows cosmic laws. The sun rises in the morning. It's not an action of the Lord. It is a law. That law itself is called as Ishvara. In sleep, karmas are in suspension. So all of us, we can sleep in the afternoon, we can sleep in the evening, we can sleep in the night. What happens? My mind is in suspension. I don't use this instrument, body. I reside. What happens in the sleep state is I reside in the heart. The physical heart, the space in the physical heart, I reside in that. That is how the Veda says this, describes the sleep state. And once the karma vasanas are ready, immediately you will get up, whether at 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning or 8 in the morning. Your karma is ready, your actions are ready. As soon as you wake up, you make a list of things to do today. Those are all karma phalams, one by one, one by one, one by one. Little sorrows, little joys, little sorrow, little joys. Throughout our life, it is like this. And my son, my daughter, they are all objects for manifesting this karma phalam. My friends, my relationships, my mother, my father, my daughter, my son, they're all manifestations for this joy and sorrow throughout our life. So the karmas push jiva to jagrat or swapna. In swapna, it is very, very small fructification of karma phalams, feeble karmas. So because of the activation of purva prarabdha karma, we all wake up from sleep. Sa eva jivaha. The sleeping jivatma is none other than the pure Atma. That is the lesson we should learn. Every time, whether I'm in waking, dream, or sleep, the Veda tells me that this is not my real nature. This is only called as Vyavaharika Satyam, empirical reality, transactional reality. There is a higher reality which is called as Atma. That Atma is caught up in the micro upadhi. Micro upadhi means what? In the medium of the body. And then it goes to dream or comes to waking. Swapna prapancha or Jagrat prapancha. Prapancha means the world. I experience the subjective universe, which is Jiva Srishti. I myself created, my mind creates the dream, one channel of experience, or Ishvara Srishti, which is created by the Lord with the help of Panchabhutas. Jagrat Prapancha is called as Jagrat Prapancha, the objective realm. That is the second channel, which is called as Ishvara Srishti. See how beautifully the Vedas, they describe all our experiences and give us a different vision of our experiences, and at the same time introduces us to our real nature. See, don't forget, the objective of the study of Upanishad is to take my mind away from the waking, dream, and sleep and abide in the real, pure nature of Atma. The jiva plays around, becomes tired, watches a serial of waking or dream, and goes to another body. That is what happens in death. The way you wake up from sleep, the same thing happens when you wake up in a new body. The way you wake up, go from waking to sleep, is there any big problem we all face? No, it's a very natural process of identification and disidentification. When I identify with the body, it becomes waking state. When I don't when I disidentify with the body, it becomes the sleep state. So I move on from the body, this body, to another body in a very natural fashion, painless way. There's no pain involved. This is how the Veda describes our whole life. When did all this start? This is a natural question comes to all of us when this is presented to us. What was the first birth? Why did that first birth come? When I had really no karmas at all. When did the first waking come? Beginningless cycle process is what Veda says. What Veda says is, this is a cycle. There is no starting point and no ending point. It is just goes on and on. If it is a linear line, you have a starting point and an ending point. You're going on a road, straight road. You have a starting point in Delhi and you can end up in Chennai or Singapore, and then you end up in India or in the US. So you don't, that is what is called as linear. But in a cycle, if it is a cycle, you're just going round and round, round and round. There is no beginning, there's no end. The center of the circle is the point from where you are located in the center, but you're going in circle. This is beautifully explained in the 3rd verse of the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. The 15th chapter is a beautiful chapter which explains the nature of the jiva in the first 3 mantras, which compares the jiva, the whole samsara cycle, into a big tree, Ashwatha tree. Those who have done Gita, you will remember this. Na rupa masye ahamev, na rupa masye maha tathopa labhyate, nanto na chardan na cha sampratishta, ashwathamenam suviruda moolam asanga shastrena dridena chitva. The most important point in this is, this form of the jiva is not perceived. That karana shariram, that causal body, cannot be perceived. There is no beginning, there is no end. But it can be cut. How it can be cut? Only by knowing that I am not the three sharirams. I am not the gross body. I am not the subtle body. I am not the causal body in which there are punyam and papa. Anadi. Anadi means beginningless. I can't talk of a beginning of the jiva. Nobody remembers when was the first karma I did. Nobody. When will it end? Nobody knows. It is a law of nature. Let me keep studying. What the Veda says is, keep studying the Veda, the Upanishad. Your mind will become purer and purer. When your mind is pure, what happens is the mind drops. Urvarukam bandhanat, mrityo mukshur ma amritat. Like the cucumber falls down from the tree when it is ripe, like the mango falls down from the tree. When it ripe, it falls down. Similarly, the mind, when it has come to know, when it has done a lot of dhyanam, by doing dhyanam, what happens? I keep on thinking, oh, I'm not this jiva. I am that pure consciousness. This internal process, thought process happens. Automatically, it happens. You just have to be on the spiritual path of listening to the Shastra. It will happen. Many of you who are attending for the last 2-3 years, or even 8 years with me, you will know the difference when now you listen to the scriptures, it is slightly more deeper, deeper and deeper. Why? Because your mind has become pure. You have been listening and listening every week, 1 hour, 1.5 hours every week. So this first 4 lines of this verse describes the jiva, micro operation which happens in a jiva's mind. Jiva puratraye kridati. It knocks about in the 3 cities of waking, dream and sleep. Of the 3 sharirams, gross, subtle, causal. The waking state is the state of gross body. Dream state is the state of subtle body, where it is predominant, where you can experience it. And the causal body is the sleep state. The Puranic story says Tripura Dahanam, means it is a jnani's journey, which says that Shiva, Lord Shiva, burned the Tripura Asuras. I mean, he burned down 3 devils. By opening the 3rd eye, he opened the eye of knowledge. Similarly, each one of us, through the eye of knowledge of the Brahma Vidya, we can burn the entire karma phalams which are there in the Karana Sharira. What is the proof? The Veda is the only proof, because this is not seen. It is adrishtam. Whatever is adrishtam, adrishtam means unseen. Karma phalam, joy and sorrow, which is existing in the causal body, is unknown. It's not known to a jiva. It just fructifies as thoughts. As thoughts, they come and then they give me either a joy or a sorrowful experience. That's all. Again, the joy, the thoughts end, the joy and sorrow ends. Again, I wake up in the morning tomorrow, again the thought process starts. That is what is called as punya papa. The teacher shifts the attention of a student from the micro upadhi to the macro upadhi to show that Atma is the same. Only the dress, vesham, is changed. What actually happens? It is one Atma. See, try to understand this clearly. I am the pure consciousness, which I can know Because in the sleep state, I exist. I exist as pure Atma. Without any identification, I have in this actual sleep state, yes, I am full of ignorance. But now in the waking state, I bring that knowledge of the Veda, the light of the Veda, and try to see the sleep state with the torchlight of the Veda in the waking state. Then what happens? I can see clearly that there are two upadhis. Upadhi means medium. In the waking state, there is the macro and the micro. Macro means the entire universe, the Panchabhutas, which are actually the whole world. The whole universe is nothing but the 5 elements. The 5 element is the cause of the individual body. The 5 elements is called as the Karanam, cause, and the individual body is the effect, which is the Karyam, product. Now, the macro world is superior compared to the micro world, because the micro body has got very inferior attributes. My mind is very limited. Paramatma, which represents the whole universe, is superior. Superior attributes: omniscient, omnipower, all-knowing, all-pervading. So when the upadhis are removed, when the medium of the body, which is matter principle, Atma is not matter, it is the pure spirit. Body, mind, world is matter. So from the individual body, I remove the matter principle. From the total also, I remove the matter. What remains is Atma. Pure Atma is Karya Karana Vilakshana. Vilakshana means transcendental, beyond. Swayam Brahman means it is the light of consciousness, light, or it is the state of pure existence. Tattvamasi Bhavayatmai. This is a beautiful meditation in Vivek Chudamani, which is what is being referred here. Ekameva sadaneka karanam, karanam anantara, anantara disya karanam, karya karya vilakshanam swayam. This word is very important. Karya karana vilakshanam swayam. Swayam means I myself am beyond the karanam and karya. Here I refers to the pure Atma. It is not the prapancha, which is the gross world. It is not the individual body. I am that pure Atma. Brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmati. This is a meditational verse from Vivek Chudamani. There are 10 verses in that. Beautiful verses, which are all tattvamasi, tattvamasi, that you are, that you are. So when the mind meditates on this truth, that there is Atma in which everything is coming and going, the 3 sharirams are coming and going, the 3 states are coming and going, then I realize my real nature. Katha Upanishad also has a similar thought process. Anyatra dharma, anyatra dharma, anyatra asmat krita kritata, anyatra bhuta cha bhavya cha yat pashyati tadvad. See, in the Katha Upanishad, there is an 8-year-old boy who is a student who goes to the Lord of Death and asks this question to the Lord of Death. What is the question? Oh Lord of Death, tell me what is other than the past and future. Because past is gone, future I don't know whether it will come or not. Is there anything beyond these two? Is there anything beyond merit and demerit, virtue and vice? Is there anything beyond cause and effect? I am the effect of my father. I am the cause of my son. But beyond this, in this body, is there anything else? Kathopanishad, very beautiful. You will enjoy this portion when we go into that Upanishad. Sakalam vichitram jatam. This is in this Upanishad. This is one of the aspects of this verse. Sakalam vichitram jatam. Entire creation is born from this Atma. Atma gets a status of Srishti when it is associated with the macro upadhi. See, when I am in the sleep state, there is no creation for me. I am in ignorance. I alone am resting in my Swarupam, which is pure Atma. When I get up in the morning, I see this world. For me, yeah, I am talking about the individual. We are only asking, who am I? For somebody else who's in America, the world is there. He is in the waking state. That's a different realm. But for me, I am the one who is sleeping, but I am in my pure state. At that time, there is no macro upadhi. There is no micro upadhi. So when I am associated with the gross body, then I know the Srishti, the creation. When I'm associated with the causal body, I'm associated with ignorance. But my real nature is not this Srishti or the ignorance. It is my pure nature of pure existence. Dream, as long as I am identified with the dream body, I am persecuted creature. I'm a dreamer. The dreamer is always persecuted by the dream. Waker is always persecuted by the waking world. So as a jiva in the waking world, I'm persecuted. As long as I consider myself as the waker, going with the family, with my, with my children, I am associated with the gross body. I will be persecuted by my prarabdha karma. But the moment I wake up, what is the process of waking up? I learn to disidentify with the dream body and wake up to the gross body. What happens to the dream? All the sorrows of the dream washed away. The moment I choose to wake up to I wake up, identify with the waker's body, gross body, the dream world disappears. One shot. Similarly, when I wake up to my higher nature of Atma, the waking world identification is lost and I realize my true nature as the pure Atma. How does it happen? By the study of the scriptures. Because through the scriptures, I learn to see what I cannot see through my eyes. What I cannot see, know through my mind. But the Veda helps me to see beyond the body and mind, there is a transcendental world, which is the world of Atma, which is the pure state. That state is called as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. It is called as pure existence, pure consciousness, and pure happiness. Dakshinamurti Stotram very beautifully explains the same principle. Dishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam. Nijantargatam. It is inside me. Where is this Atma? It is in the cave of the heart, cave of the intellect, Buddhi. Where can I recognize this? Only in that cave, not outside. You open your eyes, you will not be able to recognize the Atma. Even though it is there, but will be not be able to recognize. Pashyannatmani maya bahiribodh bhutam yatha nidraya. In that intellect, I come to know, I can recognize that light of consciousness, which is the Sakshi. Sakshat kurute prabodha samaye swatmanam ahame advayam. When I wake up to this higher nature, when I go, what does it mean? When I come to know there is a light which illumines my intellect. What is the light by which you know all your emotions? Today I was very angry. Don't get identified with the angry thoughts. Ask the question, what was the light in which I saw this angry thoughts? That light is my nature. Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye Namayidam Sri Dakshina Murtaye. See, this Thuriyam light, this Atma light is explained beautifully in Dakshinamurti Stotram, in all the Bhagavad Gita mantras which talk about Aikyam. Whenever you see Aikyam means oneness between Jivatma and Paramatma. You should note that down, as I said. In this chapter itself, there are 4 verses you should note down. Verse number 10, very important. Verse number 16, very important. Verse number 19. And 23 and 24, 5 verses. 5 verses, whenever it comes, immediately follow up, understand the verse completely. Meditate on these 5 verses. Similarly, in other Upanishads, I will tell you what are the important verses. You make a collection of, say, 50, 60 mantras. Whenever you want to sit in meditation, use these 50 mantras. Try to bring these thoughts in your mind. It will purify your mind. Your mind is full of preoccupied thoughts of your possessions, of your obligatory duties, of your relationships, and all the transactions which you're doing. Port. P stands for possessions, O stands for obligatory duties, R stands for relationships, and T stands for transactions. If you open up your mind at any time, you'll find only these 4 inside your mind. I have to do this, I have to do this, I have got this relationship, I have this transaction to do, I have that transaction, this is what I am owning, this is what I should get. That's it. 4 things. Always you are engaged in this preoccupied mind, completely, morning to evening, morning to evening. Even if you sit in meditation, these 4 will come. But how to get out of these 4 is through these mantras. Select 50 mantras. Keep it a target for yourself. I will take 50 mantras from my study of next 2 years. I'm going to study the Upanishads. Each Upanishad, I'll pick 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. I'll have about 60, 50, 60. Dream world is falsified, and I shift to waking. That is what is called as higher nature, from dream to waking. Similarly, Atma becomes Srishti Karanam with macro upadhi as Adharam. what I was explaining to you, that Ishvara is the Paramatma, the macro Upadhi, and the 5 elements are under his control. The law of karma is under Ishvara's control. So that Paramatma with the macro Upadhi is the Saguna Ishvara. It is not the Nirguna Atma. See, Atma is the pure Atma without any gunas. There is no inferior property. There is no superior property. That is what I should identify with. But if I'm identified with the body, you should then say it is Paramatma's nature. This is, the whole thing is nothing but Paramatma. The whole world, this is how you see, you shift from Eka Rupa Dhyanam to Aneka Rupa Dhyanam. The whole world is nothing else, but it is the expression of one consciousness, which is called as Atma or Brahman. And I realized this in the waking state. Paramatma with macro Upadhi is the Srishti Siddhi Karanam. That Paramatma, that macro Upadhi, the macro medium. This body is also made up of 5 elements. The whole world is also made up of 5 elements. The nature of this body is the Jiva. The nature of the whole world is nothing but Paramatma. I have a subtle body. Lord has a subtle body called as Hiranyagarbha. The Lord has a causal body called as the Ishvara. I have a causal body called as the Prajna. We have seen all this just now. Yasmin Puram Puratrayam Layam Yati. So in the 3 cities, waking, dream, and sleep, they all go into the causal nature, which is called as Layasthanam, resolution ground. For example, Shariratrayam and Prapanchatrayam, they dissolve into one Atma. That's what we have come to know in this mantra. Suppose the actor has got 2 roles. He is a king, he plays a king in one role and he plays the beggar in another role. Similarly, this Atma or consciousness or Brahman, the pure awareness principle, it plays 2 roles. One is the Jivatma role, another is the Paramatma role. But without the roles, who is that? Who is that actor? Actor is without the roles. He is neither the beggar, neither the king. So similarly, Atma is neither the Jivatma or Paramatma. From its own standpoint, it is Karya Karana Vilakshanam. It doesn't have inferior or superior attributes, neither micro or macro medium. It is neither a Swami or a Dasa. It is pure Atma. This is the knowledge I get from this verse. So at any time, who are you? I'm neither this body, I'm neither in this world, I am the pure Atma. That is what you should realize in your own self. You don't need to tell your wife or your children about this. This is what you are getting as a prasad from Kaivalya Upanishad for your own thought process. That's all. It is undivided nirgunam, indivisible awareness, chaitanyam, akhanda rupam. That is what is said in this verse, akhanda rupam. The karyam and karanam are with attributes, superior and inferior attributes. And it is enjoyed by what? By whom? It is enjoyed by the same Nirguna Atma. You see, ultimately, there is only one Atma in this world. This is how Veda describes our real nature. It says that there is nothing else but except Atma, there's nothing else. Transcending the attributes, Atma remains by itself as pure consciousness. That is what is called as the independent nature of Atma. See, this verse is a very deep verse. I'm taking time to explain this because if you understand these verses, the entire study becomes very easy. That's why I've taken this Upanishad where I'm taking all the 24 mantras. At one go, if you understand these 24 mantras, you would have understood all the 11 Upanishads, what they are trying to reveal. In all other Upanishads, it will be the same story, but in a different container. Anandam of our nature is not experiential Ananda. It is Swarupa Ananda. Swarupa means it is my nature to be blissful without the world. What happens to the happiness which I get from the world? It is called as Vritti Jnanam. It is happiness associated with thoughts, which are born with the contact of sense organs and the sense objects. So the happiness which is born in the form of thought doesn't remain. This is one of the revelations of the Upanishad. It is only transient because how long your thoughts will last. I enjoyed a good rasagulla. I enjoyed a good ice cream. How long? After half an hour, you're back to normal. The thought of happiness or enjoyment was there for a few, maybe for 5 minutes, maybe for 30 minutes, maybe for 2 hours. After that, what happens? Again, you're back to your normal tendency of your mind, which is not happiness, but which is tamoguna, rajoguna, agitations, sleepiness, all that. So anytime you have happiness, or this is what in Bhagavad Gita also it says that matra sparshas tu kaunteya shitoshna sukha agama pahino nityaha tanti tekshasva bharata. The happiness born in this world is transient. It remains only for a short period of time. As a jiva, I'm not happy with this happiness. I'm searching for permanent happiness, which the Upanishad reveals to me as my nature. And that nature I am understanding, which is beyond the waking dream and sleep. The moment I land in that state of Turiyam, that gives me fullness. It is never deficient with anything. I don't want anything once I have reached Turiyam and I have understood the significance of pure Atma. It is Tripudi Rahitam. Tripudi means the knower, known, and knowing. All three are resolved. As a jiva, I become a knower in the waking state. So the knowership is gone, the known bodies, objects are gone, the knowing process is not there. What remains is Atma. Jiva Atma and Paratma are essentially one Atma, which is said in a very beautiful word in the scriptures, Soham. Soham means what? I subtract from Paramatma minus that Upadi. Upadi means I remove the S. What remains when I remove S from So? It means what remains is only O. Hum. Hum represents Jiva. I removed the word H and A, which is the Upadi. What remains M, which is, if I join O and M, what will I get? It is O. So Jivatma minus the Upadi Paramatma minus the Upadhi is Om. That is what I say in meditation in my Wednesday sessions. I keep on repeating Om, Om, Om every time because it is what is left after removing all the superior and inferior attributes of the medium. That Om is defined in Mandukya Upanishad as na anta prajnam, na bahish prajnam, no bhayata prajnam, na prajnam, na prajnana ghanam, na prajnam, na prajnam. Then what? These are all it says. It is not this consciousness. It is not the outward consciousness, not inward consciousness. But ultimately, what is it? It is adrishtam avyavaharyam. Adrishtam means it is never seen. Avyavaharyam means it never comes in contact for transactions. Agrahyam means it can never be held by hand or held by the organs of action. Alakshanam, that means there is no indicator which can really indicate that. Achintyam means it can never be thought. Avyapadeshyam, indefinable, inconceivable. Ekatma, these are all the negative. You are using the negative language to describe Atma. One Atma. What is this? Pratyaya Saram. This is how the Atma is defined in Mandukya Upanishad. I'm just giving it to you because we are studying the nature of our self. Prapanchopashamam. This is where the resolution ground for the entire world. That is what is called as Atma. And what is the nature of that Atma? Shantam Shivam Advaitam. Shantam means peaceful, quiet, blissful, Shivam, auspicious. And Advaitam, this is an extremely important word. Advaitam means it is non-dual. You have to meditate on this word, on all this. On all these words, you have to let your thoughts run. I am of that nature. I am of that nature. Why is it called Advaitam? It's called Advaitam because of one point which I'll explain when we do the 19th mantra of this verse. It is called Advaitam because it is the Karanam. It is the cause and it is in which there is no other thing except itself. This is a very subtle point. I will just mention it to you. See whether you can grasp it. If you understand that I am the pure consciousness, and that is my real nature, start with that starting point. I am the pure consciousness. What the Upanishad tells me is that is my real nature. Without the body, without the world, without my senses, it cannot be thought about, it cannot be held, it doesn't have senses, it is not with the body, it is not with the mind. But it exists. It is pure. It can independently exist. So if I take that substratum as my real nature, then what the Upanishad tells me is this world which I experience is dependent on that. That I, pure Atma I, unless and until it is present, the world cannot be seen. The world is coming and going in that light of consciousness. The world is inert by nature. It doesn't have the power to be independently existent. This Advaitam word is something which will take a little bit of time for you to understand, but I'm just giving it to you so that you start thinking about it. The only thing you should remember is, I will explain this in the 19th mantra again. Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, that mantra. But right now, what you should understand is, I alone am, that is what the Upanishad tells me. I am that pure Atma. I can exist independently. World depends on me. I lend existence and consciousness to the world. That is what your mind should be able to pick up. And if you are able to realize this, then you are realized master. This is my original nature and God's original nature. What is this? This means what? Atma, that Turiya Atma. Therefore, I can say that I and God are of the same nature. I am one with God. One with God means what? We both, myself and God, are the same consciousness principle. Now, this is understood through the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi means what? Jivatma. Tat represents Paramatma. That Paramatma, Tvam, Jivatma, Asi, is one. So this particular verse in line 1, 2, 3, or in the way I have presented it, is there are basically 3 lines instead of 6. The first line and the second line is basically Jivatma. The third line is Paramatma. 4 important principles are mentioned in Mandukya Upanishad. What are the 4 principles that you should always remember, that you can apply anytime you want to understand Advaitam? You must remember these 4 principles. If you don't apply these 4 principles, you cannot understand. You will not be able to understand your own real nature, because Shankaracharya's whole philosophy is based on Advaitam. Shankaracharya took up all the 4 Upanishads. This is how his guru taught him. And what did he do? He took the essence of all the Upanishad and presented in one sentence: Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman is Satyam. And what is the world? World is Mithya. It is an appearance. And Jiva Brahma even aparaha. I, the Jiva, am nothing but that pure Brahman. That is what Shankaracharya's all the commentaries of the 10 Upanishads he has written, this is the essence. And this essence can be understood by 4 principles. What are the 4 principles? Let me explain to you. This is something which I've added. It is not there in the notes which you have. Number 1, existence is in the world, not of the world. You see, I can see that everything is existing. The body is existing, the wall is existing, chair is existing, trees are existing, mountains are existing, oceans are existing. The entire world is existing. Is. But isness of the world is not a part of the world. It doesn't belong to the world. That isness is my real nature. Number 1. That isness is borrowed or is reflected. This is point number 2. Is reflected from my own nature, which is what is called as Turiya. That means what? The world, this is how you should learn to say that I am the pure Atma. I lend existence to the world. Existence, this is existence. We are talking about a pure existence. That existence is lent to the world by me, like the existence in a mirror is a reflection. In the mirror is a reflection. It doesn't have its own existence. I am the face. The original is the face. The original is the pure. Without the mirror, the original still is there. Without the world, the original Atma is still there. That is what is called as moksha. The third point I should remember is world has no origination of its own. World has no origination. It depends on that Atma. By itself, the world there is no beginning, there is no end. It is just there. It is just a appearance. That is the fourth point. World appears in existence, consciousness, Turiyam, which is my real nature. Anyway, these 4 points, just keep it in your mind, reflect on it, and we will then study later on. These 4 points will come again and again in all the Upanishads. So if you don't catch up now, you will be able to catch up later. Okay? So that finishes the 14th mantra, which is the description of oneness, the aikyam between Jivatma and Paramatma. If Jivatma and Paramatma is one, then what is the creation which I'm seeing? What is this whole world I'm seeing? That is described in the verse number 50. I will just introduce that in this now, and then maybe we'll continue that in the next week. Etasmat jayate pranaha manas sarvendriyani cha kham vayur jyotiraapaha prithvi vishwasya dharini. What does this mean? From that pure Atma, this prana is born. This prana means what? This life manifests. Life means what? The air which we breathe has got that reflection of that Atma, and that is what is called as life. From that pure Atma, from him, from that Lord, from that Nirguna Atma, Paramatma, is this prana which is born, the mind is born, Antakarana is born, all the organs are born. Now this refers to the Vyashti, the Jiva. Then it says, Kham Vayu Jyotirapaha Prithvi Vishwasya Dharini. Kham means space. Vayu, air. Jyoti, fire. Apaha, water. The 5 elements are also born from this consciousness, from this pure Atma, from this Brahman. Now you understand, right? Atma, Brahman, you will be able to understand totality, individuality. The real nature, pure consciousness. When we talk about the whole cosmos, we say it is Sat principle, existence principle. When you talk about the Jiva, we say it is consciousness. Because consciousness can be experienced in the mind as the Sakshi. So from this pure Atma or Brahman, the whole world is born, and this pure Atma supports Vishwasya Dharini. Dharini means it holds. It is the supporter. It is the substratum for the entire creation. When you say it's supporter means what? The creation by itself is only an appearance. It doesn't have independent reality. I am the one, the consciousness, the higher nature is the one which provides, which lends, which reflects in the world. And then the world becomes a real, a vyavaharika satya. A place where you can have transactions. So what are the 2 realities we have seen today? One is called as transactional reality, which is called as vyavaharika satyam. And then there is a second reality, which is called as paramarthika satyam. Transcendental reality and transactional reality. Okay, so we will continue this verse next week. 15th verse onwards. We have another 9 verses to go for the Upanishads, Kaivalya Upanishad. Then we'll take up another Upanishad. I'm not decided which is the Upanishad I'm going to do after this, but soon we will take up another Upanishad. I think we'll require another 3 sessions for this Kaivalya Upanishad. Okay, with that we'll close for the day. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Okay, so if you have any questions, you are free to ask.
Sagarji, Pranam Sagarji, Amiyanchu.
Yeah, Amiyanchu, tell me.
I have a small curiosity.
Yes, tell me.
We know waking is the only state when we can have Jnanam.
Yes.
Now, after Jnanam, is there any difference in sleep state?
After
sleep state,
sleep state is ajnanam.
That means even a Jnanam will have, a Jnani will have a Jnanam period.
Oh yeah. You see, whether it is a Jnani or Ajnani, whether it is a wise man or ignorant man, both will have the state of Jnanam and Ajnanam. The state will not change. The states belong to the mind. The Jnani also has a mind, you also have a mind, I also have a mind, everybody has a mind. Whoever has a mind will undergo both the states. But the Jnani, he does not identify that as his real nature. See, that is where you should be able to pick up. This is a very subtle point. Only when you become a Jnani, you will understand this much more. You see, when we are Ajnanis today, so we are still will not be able to perceive or will not be able to think how does the Jnani feel about this world. In simple terms, a Jnani will, the way he thinks it is, all these are a play of Ishvara. Waking is a play of Ishvara, dream is a play of Ishvara, sleep is also a play of Ishvara only. I will undergo this as long as the prarabdha of the body is there, this body will experience all the 3 states. But I am not the body, I am not this world. I am someone different from this. I am the awareness principle. A Jnani will never forget that he is consciousness. He is pure awareness. He will never forget it. He will always remember. That is the tambura, shruti, which goes on at the back of his mind.
During sleep state, he will not remain aware.
No, he will not be aware. See, his sleep state and our sleep state is exactly the same. There will be no difference. Don't think that the Jnani in the sleep state also will get up and then he'll have a bright light and there'll be a light flashing and he'll know that he is there. No, nothing like that. His sleep state will be exactly like our sleep. Sleep state is just a state, it is a tamo guna. It is prakriti. See, this is all nature. This is the 5 elements. The 5 elements, see, we only know the 5 elements, water, we see the water in the fluid, but we don't know what is the nature of water. In the subtle form, how is that water? In the subtle form, how are the chemicals in this body? There is a subtle nature and there is a causal nature also. And basically, the way you should understand is only follow the guidelines of Upanishads. Keep listening to the Upanishadic mantras and go as per the logic of the Upanishad. Upanishad says that Vishwasya Dharini. That Atma is the holder. It is the substratum. And the whole world is adhyasa. It is a superimposition. That is why I took adhyasa bhashyam before. See, now you can understand. The waker is the substratum for the dream world. Nothing of the waker is there in the dream. That is why he is called as the adhishtanam of the dream world. Adhishtanam has got, it is the holder. Similarly, consciousness, pure awareness. Now this, I cannot see through my eyes. Consciousness, I will not be able to see it. I will not be able to hear it. I cannot conceive. Don't try to waste your time thinking about consciousness. You will never be able to think.
It's pure Anandam.
I have another question, sir, here.
Yeah, just let me finish with Amyanshu. I'll come back to you.
Okay.
So consciousness is something which cannot be thought about. It cannot. The only thing you can say is, I am that pure Atma. I am that pure consciousness. That is the only way you can say, and you can experience that in your own nature. It is possible. You see, we were not aware of this before. But now, with the knowledge of the scripture, I become aware. At any time you want to say that I am the consciousness, you will know that I am that pure entity. Anytime you just tell yourself, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am the awareness. And see what happens to you.
So for that way, for a Jnani, whether sleep state or any state doesn't matter, because
it doesn't matter. Yeah. He is always in bliss. He is always in bliss because he's not identified. You see, what happens is, it is a cognitive process. This is something which happens in the intellect. The more you hear, this will also happen to your mind. In your mind, your mind will start telling you after some time that whatever I'm experiencing is just a passing phase. It is just a transient thing. And then you yourself will see it, because next day morning when you wake up, you will ask the question, what happened to all the worries which I had yesterday, When I was worrying, I don't realize it, because I'm in the middle of the dream. You see,
Upadhis and Nama and Rupa.
Yes, that is what is called as prarabdha karma phala. You can't avoid it. Your body cannot avoid it. You see, suppose, a few days back, Deepak said, I lost a couple of my friends. Now he had to undergo that experience. He cannot avoid it. His mind was caught up, and that is his prarabdha karma, which he has to go through.
Had he been a Jnani, you would not have felt any difference.
In a Jnani, he will say, okay, it was just a passing phase. I have seen many Swamijis, they lose another Swamiji colleague, and they are okay, they are fine with it. The next day morning, the next minute, they pop up and say, okay, it was a passing phase. I also enjoyed it. I had experiences, good experiences with this Swamiji, but then it is okay. That is the world. See that the knowledge is completely rooted in him. That is what makes a difference. That knowledge has to sink into the
permanent. It has to be permanent. It is not that pulsating. It should not be pulsating.
It is not in this superficial mind. It should sink into the subconscious mind. It will happen when you repeatedly listen to the scriptures.
Okay.
The more you keep reading, keep listening, it will sink in. You see, 2 years ago when you joined this class, it was different.
Totally different, yes.
Today your understanding is very deep. Is much deeper than it was 2 years ago. And if you go another 2 years follow, you will find, oh my God, what I thought 2 years ago and now I am so different.
Now this is the only thing I find
I have
utilization
another
of time.
question for you
Rest
related
all are
to that.
misuse of time, rest all activities.
That's correct.
The only
See, this is how you experience life, and then you slowly you get transformed. You find that the rest of the life is all meaningless. You know, this knowledge, sinking in this knowledge is the real joy. Yeah, Shivani, tell me.
So I have two questions here. As till now, whatever we have studied is we are talking about the mind, we are talking about the Maya, and we have talked about a lot that Maya exists because of the mind. It means it is a mentally created thing.
Yes.
So everything is created because of that Maya. I just want to know that every complexity is being made by the Maya.
Yes.
I just want to know if that is under the control of God. Why it is so complex? I mean, why he did not let the people so simple so that they can feel what they are? Why that complexity exists? What is the
Oh,
reason of existence of Maya?
okay. See, this is a good question, but it has no answer.
This is
It
golden
has no
question.
answer.
It has no
So
answer
Golden
why?
question.
because
Why it doesn't?
Maya is indescribable, anirvachaniya. It is, you cannot express why, what, how. Nothing can be expressed about Maya.
So I have gone beyond the syllabus.
Correct. You see, you should know. You can go beyond, but you will arrive at Atma only. You will not arrive at Maya then.
Okay.
Okay,
If
so
this doesn't have any answer, I have another question.
no, let me complete the answer. You
Okay.
see,
Okay.
what you should say is there are certain questions which my mind will throw up because of ignorance. You see, it is my mind which is asking question about Maya. And in my mind is thinking that Maya should be like this, the world should be like this. It is my interpretation. It is only a thought. This is what is called as Maya. Your question is Maya. It is an effect of Maya Shakti. So the way you answer it is, my mind is asking this question. It is only a projection of Maya Shakti. It is not the reality. Reality is Atma, which is illuminating this thought. Maya is always explained with the light of consciousness. Without the light of consciousness, there is no Maya. There is no world, there is no question, there is no answer.
So I have another question here. Sorry, I always ask lots of questions.
No, go
I
ahead,
always come up with
no
lots of
problem.
questions.
Yeah, tell me.
As we have also studied that the God is equally inside everything.
Yes.
He nurtures everything, and everything is part of him. We can
Yes.
see. More precisely, the things which are alive.
Yeah.
So I just want to know that why some living things are not so conscious as human beings are. And another question related to that is, if all the people are conscious, I mean, we all are Atmas here. What is the thin line which divide ourselves? See, take an example of my sister and me. If both of we are Atmas, where is the line which divide ourselves? If there is no line, so why we have different lifestyles and why we have different karmas and all that?
Okay. I will answer your later question first. The difference between you and your sister is only because of your Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira means that your causal body is different than her causal body. Her causal body has got certain papam, certain punyam. You have certain papam, certain punyam. Your nature of the mind will be as per what you will be fortifying your papam and punyam. Her mind and environment will be for her papam and punyam. For example, Shama's sister is in America. Now in America, she will be having her lifestyle. She is in London. Now she will have her own lifestyle. Why? What is the difference? The difference is the Karana Sharira. The Karana Shariram takes up a body at a particular place, in a particular family. Your
So at
surroundings.
Atmic level, there is no difference of till
No
night.
difference at all. At Atma level, there is no difference because it is beyond this world. Atma is not this world, this whole Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, which I'm identified with today. I drop this and say that I am the Atma. She also can drop it.
So when I will realize I am Atma, there will be no difference outside.
Absolutely.
I will find everyone my part, or I will find myself part of other part.
There is no inside, outside in Atma. There is no body, there is no world, there is only Atma. Pure Atma is pure light.
Yeah.
Pure light means I alone am. This is how the Upanishad tells me as my real nature. I alone am. That is what is called as Kaivalyam. See, for example, I ask you this question. In the sleep state, who are you? What are you in the sleep state? Aren't you alone?
Yes.
Are you with your body and your thoughts and your sister and your brother? No, nothing is there. Nothing is there. But do you exist or not? I exist. I exist means what? I am there. You see that I am is the pure nature. When I add the body and the mind, then I start identifying with the gross body. When I say I am the mind, I identify with my mind in the dream state. You see, in the dream state, it becomes very clear. I am only identifying with the thoughts in my mind. In the sleep state, I am only identified with no thoughts, no body, no world, but I am there. So you should ask the question, what is really my nature? Is it when I am in the waking state, is this my real nature? When I experience this gross body, I am living in Amritsar, I'm living in Delhi, I'm living in London. Is this my real nature? Or when I sleep, for example, there is no world at all except the dream world. So neither the sleep world is me, neither the dream world is me, neither the waking world is me.
I am beyond three of that.
Yes, I am beyond these three worlds. But one thing is there, I exist, you should never forget. Without, you see, don't try to throw the baby with the water. You see, you must keep that I-ness with you. When you drop the body and the world, you should retain that consciousness. Don't drop the consciousness, then you will end up in nihilism. You will end up in nothingness, blankness. That is another problem with many people, they do. They say that.
So these are the people like who believe like life has no goals at all.
Yeah, that's correct. That is what
it is dying and getting
birth. Say that there's nothing in the world, therefore why nothing? It's all nothing, blank, you know. So that should not be the direction in which you should be going. Shankaracharya clearly says when nothing is experienced, what you experience is not nothing, but you are experiencing your Atma. Okay. And that you own it. You see, own it means what? Whenever I'm in sorrow, change the mind and say, why am I thinking about all this now? Let me think about Atma. Suddenly you will find that your sorrows have all disappeared. Okay, this is the benefit of the study of the Upanishads. A normal person will not be able to do it. You can do it because you have gone through this study. Anytime.
So no other animal, except human beings, no one can feel the same. As we are approaching understanding of the Atma,
yes,
no one can have this Atmic approach.
Correct. Because only a human being can understand the nature of Atma. Vivek Chudamani clearly says this. Shankaracharya, he writes in Vivek Chudamani, all human beings are having this gift of this life to realize their real nature. 99.9% of the people don't use this gift. They spend their time in dharma, artha, kama, and they forget that why they are born. They are born to realize their nature and be free. Suppose you get this knowledge and you really tell yourself, I am free from tomorrow. You declare to yourself, I am free. I am not this body or mind. I am not going to be identified with this body or mind. I am Atma, full stop. And I am not going to listen to this mind which keeps on telling me that you are sorrowful, you are doing this, you are suffering and all that. I will put a stop to it. Then you see, that is what is the liberated person's life. It is only a strength of your mind, which if you can do that, then you will say that your mind has become pure. Till that time, let the study go on. Let Mandukya Upanishad be repeated 100 times, let it be repeated. Doesn't matter.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, any other question? Yeah, Shama, go ahead.
Om Shikharji, as usual, wonderful. Just quickly, can you just repeat you said the mind preoccupation. I liked your mnemonic port very much. I've got the O object, R relationship, T as transaction. What does the P stand for? I missed it.
Okay. This acronym has been given by Swami Paramathananda, not my acronym. Swami Paramathananda has given this.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Now, P, I'll repeat again.
Yeah.
It's called port reduction. Port reduction means P stands for possessions.
Oh, possessions. Okay.
O stands for obligatory duties.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Is clear?
Correct. Thank you.
R stands for relationships.
Relationships.
T stands for transactions.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
the background behind this is, as seekers, we have to reduce the port. Reduce our possessions, reduce our relationships, reduce our transactions, reduce these 4 things in life.
Correct.
If you are able to reduce this, you will have time and you will have the mind which is not preoccupied.
Correct.
So you reduce port and get a non-preoccupied mind. With a non-preoccupied mind, you will be able to spend time in Atma.
Correct. Absolutely. It makes perfect sense.
And when you do this when you do this contemplation, then that nishtha will come to you.
Correct. No doubt.
Without this nishtha or nididhyasanam, all of us are always engaged in port.
Oh, correct.
Anytime you open your mind, you will find that it is one of these 4 which will occupy your mind.
Absolutely true. And out of this, if I may just ask another question related to the obligatory, that is where a very, very crucial, and I actually relate, because as you're saying, it really occupies too much of your mental energy.
Yes.
You have a set amount of wakeful mental energy which you can finish with all of this, or you have only what is left, then you apply to Atma and whatever else, which is the primary goal, definitely at my stage of life, the Vanaprastha stage. I know in my head that is my primary goal and primary objective, and all my karmas should be related to that alone. However, there is this very key issue with the obligatory reality duties, and I just wanted to ask if because there is something of a delusion here, you know, a mind delusion. Mind is always playing tricks. So, for example, this particular delusion, and I know it's a delusion where I am repeatedly inventing myself as to, am I living a meaningful life? In other words, am I doing enough for family, friends, humanity, people, you know? So in other words, I'm continuously asking that questions. Have I finished my obligations, or is there some still more left, which I'm not paying attention to, you know? And this is really, I think, when you're brought up in a very high idealistic, moralistic principles from a very early life, this just does not, it seems to be a stumbling block for me.
It is one of the biggest obstacles for the study of Upanishads.
Yeah.
It is a very big obstacle. And
is it the mind playing the trick?
Yes, it is the mind. It is the mind playing the trick. It's nothing else. But you see, it takes a very long time to come out of this trick of the mind. This delusion of the mind is basically, you know, the impressions which we ourselves have created it.
Correct.
Yeah, and to come out of those impressions, it's a habit which is formed in the mind. Yeah. The mind keeps on going into the same channel of thought process, you know, the same pattern of thinking.
The record player, which is the needle stuck in that groove.
Correct. The needle is stuck in that groove of thought process. Now, to come out of that is a Herculean task, but it is possible. It is possible, but it has to be done slowly, you know, gradually. Don't try to rush.
No.
Don't try to rush and say that, I know I will follow this schedule of 5 lectures a day, and if I don't fulfill that, you know, I will curse myself. No, don't do that.
Achha.
Just let it take it time. Give it time. That's all. It cannot be rushed. It's like the rose which has to bloom. It takes time for the rose to bloom. Let your mind bloom. Give whatever time you can today. Slowly you will find your mind will allow you to read more and more.
Correct. Just a related question to Shivani's question about Maya. You said Maya in itself is inert. Am I right? Is that a statement you made?
Yes,
Maya
yes.
by itself
give existence to Maya.
So the Maya Shakti, I have myself given a Maya Shakti, correct, which means there is nothing externally which is the power.
Yes.
It is I myself have given the power.
Correct. This is the highest realization. What I'm telling you, the 4 points of Mandukya Upanishad, which I put that, is the highest realization of a person who is realized.
Correct.
You know, at that level, he can say that the world doesn't have an independent existence. I, the Atma, am giving the existence to this whole universe. It is a mind-boggling statement, not easy to accept. But with knowledge of the Veda, you can accept it, because it is the Veda which is teaching me this. You see, put the blame on the Veda. Veda, come on, Veda, you are teaching me this. Why, you know, how can I be wrong? That's it. You convince your intellect. Veda is telling me this. Intellect, you stop thinking that you are the mind.
Yeah.
Then your intellect will sharpen, and then it will get the strength. You see? You
gain strength. Yeah. And your verse 7, so this Advaitam, the Shantam Shivam Advaitam, is equivalent to the same as Satyam Jnanam Anantam, is equivalent to
the same. Exactly the same.
Satyam Shivam Sundaram.
If you understand Satyam Jnanam Anantam, it is exactly the same derivation you will get by Turiya, Advaita.
Correct.
One day I will be taking the derivation of Satyam Jnanam Anantam in a very detailed way. and you will find that it leads to Turiya.
And thank you for the mathematical equation of Soham and Om minus S minus
Yes,
Hum. We come
correct.
to Om.
Yes.
So everything is finally reduced. If there was one single thing which we could meditate,
It's
would
just
be
Om, nothing else. It
Only
is
Om.
Om is he is me, I am him. That's it.
Finished.
That I stands for consciousness. It does not stand for the body.
Correct.
The moment you look at the body, it will have all inferior qualities. It is born, it will be gone. It is got small shakti. It has got small knowledge. It has got desires. It has got wants to fulfill desires. These are all the problems of the inferior medium body.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You work so hard for us.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, but tell me. Yeah, tell me.
So coming back to that, the Soham equation, where you say that the Om, which is part of the Jivatma as well as the Paramatma.
Yes.
But where we are trying to arrive at it is not that this is O and that is M, right? But in actual fact, there is the other way to look at it is the Jivatma is a composition of Atma with the Jiva, which is the body-mind complex, whereas the Paramatma is the Atma with the entire Jagat or the Prapanja is there. So the essence, if you take for the both sides, they are one and the same, which is the Atma, whereas the difference is one is the small Jiva, another one is the big Prapancha, right?
Correct. Yes, you are right. These are two ways to approach the same truth.
Okay.
What you have said is 100% right.
Okay.
You follow your thought process in the way you have expressed to me. That is a perfect Mahavakyam analysis.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. If there are no questions, we'll again take up Kaivalya next week. Thank you. Good night.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you. Thank you.